Launched by the Chief Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dollo at the Judiciary Headquarters on the 27th July, the new guidelines require courts to consider and dispose of bail application expeditiously within 30 days from receipt of the application with the intention of reducing incidences of pretrial detention. In the past, there was no time frame for considering and determining bail applications. According to the new guidelines, where an offence is triable by both the High Court and Magistrates Court and the accused person has been on remand for 60 days before the commencement of the trial, the person shall be released on bail on such conditions that the court considers reasonable among other guidelines. Today, City Advocate Stephen Kalali has come out to challenge the guideline, seeking a permanent injunction stopping the implementation of the guidelines and an order quashing the same for offending the Constitution. The lawyer explains that earlier, before the issuance and subsequent gazetting of the new bail guidelines, the Constitution mandated that if a suspect is charged with a capital offence such as murder, terrorism, rape, defilement and kidnap and spends 180 days on remand before he or she is committed to the High Court, that person is entitled. But according to the new bail guidelines set, the powers to grant mandatory bail are now vested in the High Court, a mandate Kalari disregards.
Chief Justice tried or exercised powers not vested with him. 2, I'm seeking a declaration that the said guidelines be quashed and declared unconstitutional for lack of sufficient public participation. These guidelines, you note that they are looking at 2 rights they are likely to affect: the presumption of innocence and the right to liberty. So such a law that is likely to affect the rights that are enshrined under Chapter 4 needs sufficient public participation. Short of that, the law has always been clear that such a law cannot stand. So I'm also seeking them to be quashed in that regard.
The new guidelines also mandate the clerk in the lower court to prepare the case file and send it to the registrar of the High Court, who then prepares a cause list for suspects to appear before a judge to determine their bail. Counsel Kalali says this takes away the rights to the presumption of innocence and freedom guaranteed in the Constitution.
This is in essence that he tries to make provisions in regard to mandatory bail in capital offences and vesting them typically to the High Court, that is the only one that has jurisdiction to release any suspect who has spent over 180 days on remand. The Constitution under Article 23, Clause 6C, clearly states that once a person has spent over 180 days on remand without committal, the court shall release that person on such terms of bail as it may deem fit. It doesn't specify whether it should be High Court that is limited with the powers. In other words, it looks at the fact that since you are appearing before a magistrate, it should be the magistrate court to release you. So the Chief Justice comes up with the guidelines that are restricting or vesting the powers to High Court, thereby trying to amend the constitutional provision of Article 23, 6 Clause C. This is clearly a mandate of Parliament pursuant to Article 79, 1, 2, and 91.
Further, the lawyer is aggrieved with the fact that in attempting to amend the Constitution, the Chief Justice omitted to consult the general public, which must have a stake in the governance of this country.
And declared unconstitutional for lack of sufficient public participation. These guidelines, you note that they are looking at 2 rights they are likely to affect: the presumption of innocence and the right to liberty. So such a law that is likely to affect the rights that are enshrined under Chapter 4 needs sufficient public participation. Short of that, the law has always been clear that such a law cannot stand. So I'm also seeking them to be quashed in that regard.
He therefore concludes that the new bail guidelines as issued by the Chief Justice are a disguised attempt by the ruling arm to scrub bail for capital offenders, hence seeking a permanent injunction to stop the implementation.
That have the effect of amending the Constitution. That is an ambit or provision that is clearly vested with the parliament.
It should be noted that President Museveni had late last year re-echoed the need for the judiciary to deny suspects facing capital offences such as murder, treason, terrorism, rape and defilement bail until they had served 180 days on remand. The president also claimed the practice of releasing such suspects was provoking the public into resorting to mob action to resolve such disputes in their community. He vowed to find a political solutions to this ever-persisting practice by the judiciary, whom he accused of making bail mandatory.